Here on the ground, change happens fast. Problems feel frequent and urgent. It's loud and anxiety runs high. From a satellite view, the Earth looks the same as it did thousands of years ago. We've been here before. Let's learn from our past and shoot for a better future.
Hello and welcome to this episode of A Satellite View. I'm Todd Mickelson, your host, speaking at you from June 29th, Monday, 2026, in the space and time continuum. And the big switch has begun. It's been feeling like it for the last couple weeks, but this week, unbelievable things, I think, going on. The turn against Trump in this stupid Great American State Fair that he politicized, it's now being revealed that Smithsonian had raised millions and millions of dollars, and they had plans to be at least a month-long celebration that was going to rival things like Burning Man and huge festivals for all of America to have a reason to drive to D.C. and have fun together and celebrate the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. But no, Trump took it over, and it's just amazing. There's seriously, in all video, there's a lot of video and photos. There's video of Fox News. I'm sure you know a lot of this, but there's video of Fox News. It looks like their studio, temporary studio they set up, is way more elaborate than any part of what Donald Trump had set up for the big shindig. And they're sitting there going, and the celebration has begun, and we've got thousands and thousands of people here with us. And as they're saying that, you can clearly see that there are tens of people. I saw Ben Meiselas show some photographs where he counted the people in the photograph. One of them had like 34. One of them had 17. Not 70. Not 70. 17 people in it. There are a lot of funny videos going around showing how the buildings are basically made of cardboard with paper tacked to them and printed out. There's, the 3D parts is just flat print. It's just incredible. Going inside the food court and stuff, it's not a food court. It's an empty tent. And apparently they kept losing power, so all the food spoiled, and there wasn't that much food to begin with, and what food was there was extremely expensive. And people did not show up. And it even looks like some of the people who did show up kind of were just there going, oh, what's this? Like they had no idea what was going on. They're just like, oh, we came to Washington, D.C. What's all this stuff going on here in the grass? Let's check it out. And so, I mean, even the people that were there, and there was really no advertising. Did you know what was going to happen? I didn't. I heard only in my car, and I have a streaming service in my car. It's an electric car, so I don't actually have a radio. It's like I'm listening to streaming. And that's where I listen to MSNBC. I don't watch MSNBC. I listen to it only in my car. And on this streaming service, for maybe 2 days, they overplayed. It was just a guy, and he sounded kind of pissy and authoritarian. 2 weeks of freedom from June 24th until July 4th on the mall. Be there for freedom, 250. And I thought, okay, what is that? I thought on the 24th was that canceled concert that, was canceled. But anyway, so that alone, the fact that, how many MAGATs are in the country? You would think all the MAGATs would be there. So if that is true, that means there's about 34 MAGATs left in the country. It keeps getting canceled, and they keep saying because of the weather, but the weather's fine. Ben Mockler said, even the weather didn't want to show up. So they canceled because of stormy weather, and it's like the stormy weather's like, we don't want to go to the stupid state fair that Donald Trump's putting on. Anyway, That's something that I think, because if you've listened to the show, you know that what I thought was going to be the most impossible was to turn Trump supporters against Trump and make them see the light of what a fraud Trump really is, and make them see basically the light of reality and start to see what our side is. Well, we've been seeing that going on for a long time now. Marjorie Taylor Greene is no longer a Republican even. She's mad at the whole Republican Party. So this has been going on, but now it's like the fact that Trump was bragging about the best thing ever, it's going to be a 5-star culinary experience, when it's really just a $22 cheeseburger, and nobody showed up. Nobody cares. Everyone's done with him. Everyone is finished with him, including life itself. I swear, if he's still alive a week from now, I will be surprised. To me, that's a big sign. But then there are also other things. What happened in the New York primaries, for instance, Zoran Mamdani, is he basically a rock star now? His endorsed candidates all won the primaries. It was only 3 major newsworthy ones, but one of them beat Dan Goldman, who's an incumbent, who was actually a really great legislator. He was a lawyer against Trump in one of the impeachment cases. He's been doing good work, actually. I like him. But he took AIPAC money. I think AIPAC is on their way out. I think Israel is going to finally be put in a place maybe more fitting to where they should be, which only means they shouldn't be getting 90% of their military capabilities from somebody else, us. And that doesn't make me anti-Semite. Netanyahu, if you criticize Netanyahu, you're not criticizing Jewish people. Jewish people voted for these people in New York. It's hilarious because the Republicans are saying, man, if you're a Jewish person in New York, you can come and stay at my house because, man, they hate you there in New York because they elected these democratic socialists. New York is the biggest Jewish population in the world. There's probably more Jewish people in New York than there are in Israel. I mean, you could definitely check me on that. That's probably not true. But these democratic socialists who a lot of it was just running against AIPAC and against the atrocities that Netanyahu's doing in Gaza and now Lebanon, they're Jewish. It's a big tide turning in the Democratic Party. The quote-unquote moderate Democrats, I don't know if they're scared. They seem like they're starting to figure it out, really. I think they were scared to begin with. I think that they were scared when Mamdani was running, and then when Mamdani won, and then Mamdani is now being so successful, I think the moderate Democrats are going, okay, I think it's time for us to change. And I think that is huge because the Democratic Party does need to change. Now, more things. This is something that is not being talked about very much. Trump tried to sue the BBC for $50 billion because of something they edited in England about his speech on the ellipse on January 6th. And of course, he thought, oh, they'll just pay me. We'll do a settlement of maybe $1 billion. Or they'll start reporting more in favor of me or something. No, the BBC's fighting back. They want discovery. They've got 156 requests for documents from all kinds of different third-party people. They've got 60 subpoenas of the same. That means, and a lot of that is asking for testimony, both from members of the January 6th committee, from probably Jack Smith and people who worked with Jack Smith on the case of January 6th. And when all of that gets worked out, they're going to want to have Donald Trump come in for a sworn deposition. Those never go good for that guy. It can happen because Trump is the one who brought the lawsuit. The BBC did not bring the lawsuit. Trump brought the lawsuit So now the BBC has to defend themselves, and they're going to demand, well, we need a deposition from Donald Trump and all these other things. That's real news. I don't know if you've heard it. I think it's pretty incredible. Also, Judge Eileen Cannon. This is one reason why I think the Democrats are really stepping up their game. Adam Schiff and some other people in the Democratic Party put forth a brief. They're trying to get the second half of Jack Smith's reporting, which has to do with the documents case. Jack Smith brought 40 criminal charges against Donald Trump in the documents case, where the FBI went into Mar-a-Lago and found that Donald Trump had a whole bunch of classified information in the bathroom and things like that. Judge Eileen Cannon has been covering up for Donald Trump in this. Jack Smith did a report, and Eileen Cannon's not allowing his report to be released. This has been going on for a couple years. Jack Smith was appointed in late 2022. And if you remember, going back to then the early spring of 2023, let's go back in time, spring of 2023, when some grand jury members were being interviewed after the grand jury indicted Donald Trump. I remember a guy saying, if everybody in America could hear and witness what we were presented as the grand jury, it would bring America together. There would be no more division. Everyone would see what's going on, and basically everyone would want Donald Trump in prison. You remember that? Well, Adam Schiff and these other people teeing this up again, getting Judge Eileen Cannon back in the spotlight, getting this story back in our memories just a couple months, 4 months before the midterm elections. When Mike Johnson said, if the Dems win, they're just going to keep doing what the job of the Congress is supposed to do. They're going to be doing investigation after investigation, and I'm here to protect you all. So basically he's saying we're all going to go to jail if the Democrats sweep the midterm elections. So we've got to cheat strongly enough to overturn the American people's will in the midterm elections. I'm going to take a break because I'm just a little way down the list here on why the big switch has begun. And it's going at it pretty hard, all right? It's coming at us pretty hard, and it's good for us and bad for the darkness and the people who work for the darkness. You're listening to A Satellite View. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back. We're back on A Satellite View. Find our website, satelliteviewpodcast.com. Go to YouTube and search for Satellite View Podcast. You'll find our YouTube channel. Subscribe. It's free. And you can find me at Todd Mickelson on Twitter, Blue Sky, Instagram, and at Mickelson Politics on Facebook, where we have a lot of clips that you can watch. But on our YouTube channel, you can actually watch this show in its entirety on video a couple days after we put it out. So if you're listening in your car, though, right now, thank you very much for listening. And thank you for speaking to me sometimes about what you think. It's hard for me to even realize I'm just kind of sitting here by myself. It's hard for me to realize if anyone's actually noticing that we're doing this. I know that you are, and I thank you so much for doing that. I should start crossing off these things that I'm going through on my list, right? Yeah, the BBC lawsuit, the New York primaries. There's a lot going on, Eileen Cannon. J.D. Vance showed how much of an idiot he is by basically saying, if Nixon was doing the whole Watergate thing exactly the way he was, it would be about a 12-day story. Well, he doesn't realize, nowadays, he doesn't realize the reason that is because he's basically admitting that, what we're doing now is way worse than Watergate and what Nixon did. So, basically the big crime of the 20th century that made a president actually resign from office for the one and only time in the history of the United States, we're way worse than that. We're better at criming. We're better, like JD is trying to say, when it comes to criming. When it comes to criming, get in the car. We're going criming tonight, and our car goes faster than Nixon. We did a lot more criming than Nixon. And there were some bad SCOTUS decisions that allowed some racist Stephen Miller type of things to happen, talking about getting all the Haitians out of America. Well, Ohio Governor Mike DeWine says, we have a lot of Haitians in Ohio. He's talking about, they're business owners. They're a big part of our economy. So it would be really stupid to try and get rid of the Haitians. This is a Republican governor. And the big yelling match between Trump and Republicans in the Senate lunch or whatever. I heard one of them refuse to call him Mr. President anymore. So these are Republicans really turning against Republicans. This is a big part of the big switch. Here's another thing. You remember how Elon Musk turned into a trillionaire because SpaceX went public? Well, that was maybe, 2 weeks ago? And since then, it has lost 34% of its value. Good job, Elon. He's so smart. Also, something like 3/4 of businesses that have been using AI have been declining because they say it's too expensive. So AI is declining. It's not going the way that the tech bros were predicting. There's another big lawsuit by some publishers against Meta. What's his name? Zuckerberg. And I want to mention a couple other things. The housing bill. Now, this is confusing. Everyone thinks that Trump is going to veto the housing bill. How can he veto the housing bill? He really can't. It passed with an overwhelming veto-proof margin. I think it was 85-5 in the Senate. I think there was only 35 House members that voted against it. So overwhelming bipartisan housing bill that Donald Trump said, I'm not going to sign it until you pass the stupid Save America bill, which is never going to pass because Republicans don't want to pass it. And talk about SCOTUS rulings. They basically said you can't. You can't mess with mail-in ballots. Amy Coney Barrett wrote the decision on that. It was 5-4, so she's the Republican who went along with the Democrats on saying that you can't mess with the mail-in ballots. Mail-in ballots that are received by Election Day can still be counted no matter how long it takes. It's one of the many things that Trump's trying to do. Well, let's get back to the housing bill. So it passed overwhelmingly, bipartisanly. And when that happens, it goes to the president's desk. The president has 10 days to either sign it or veto it. If he vetoes it, it'll go back for another vote, and it'll obviously, there's no way they're going to turn enough votes to vote for the veto. So it's a veto-proof margin, you only need 60 or 61 in the Senate to be veto-proof. They had 85. It's overwhelmingly going to pass. There's a 10-day window. It was presented to Trump last Thursday. So the 10 days run out next Monday, a week from today, on July 6th. So we've got one more week to wait for the housing bill to become law. Trump can't stop it. Okay, it's confusing, but that's how it works. Another thing, another deadline, Todd Blanche has till Thursday to react to Katie Fang's win against him having to do with the Epstein Files. And another thing that happened this week on the Epstein Files, Leon Black came in. Leon Black, he says he was tricked into paying Jeffrey Epstein, but he wasn't. But he also has NDAs with women, probably some of which are minor women, underage little girls, because he allegedly sexually abused these women and little girls, of course. So he's allegedly yet another pedophile, and he got brought in. He said, I'll volunteer to answer questions, but then he wouldn't answer questions. And it came right down to James Comer. I'm here. It's not my fault. He wouldn't answer the questions. So he is the chairman of the committee that Leon Black came into, and he issued a subpoena. You have to come back and go under oath, and you have to then answer these questions or face the consequences, which could lead to contempt of Congress and go to prison, go to jail. Leon Black got so pissed off that he just walked out. The pressure is building hugely on the Epstein Files. Here's another thing. I don't know if you've heard of the name Leslie Groff. Donald Trump says he barely knew Jeffrey Epstein. J.D. Vance went on The View last week and backed him up, insisting their friendship ended decades ago. Jeffrey Epstein hated Donald Trump, Vance said. Then a new transcript came out. Leslie Groff was Epstein's executive secretary for 18 years. Epstein called her an extension of my brain. On Tuesday, the House Oversight Committee released the record of her interview. Groff testified that she personally arranged phone calls between Epstein and Trump several times a year for at least a decade, calls that continued well into the 2000s. Asked to describe the two men's relationship, she said, I suppose they were friendly. The committee's been pulling on this thread for months. Representative Stephen Lynch didn't hold back. I just question whether she can rightfully and truthfully maintain that she saw nothing improper. The truth is coming out, piece by piece. I just read that from Scott Dworkin's Substack. He does great reporting as well. So, a lot on the Epstein Files. And I want to talk to you about another thing that is turning huge in the Ukraine and Russian war. We're going to start with something that I had not heard. And I wonder if you had. This is reporting from CNN, but it's worldwide CNN. It's obviously stationed in Europe. The main anchor sounds like a British or possibly Australian accent. Sounds more British to me than Australian. They have a reporter in London, and some of the other reporters have European accents of some sort. They don't talk about this on CNN here in the United States. But here are some things that I didn't realize.
He is now praising Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. That's a sharp reversal from his earlier criticism. CNN's Kevin Liptak explains.
After quite a rocky start, President Trump appears increasingly enthusiastic about the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. In the Oval Office on Wednesday, President Trump said that Zelensky was doing pretty well, no matter how you look at it. He said that Zelensky was, quote, holding his own, that he was courageous, and that he's got great men. All of it a distant cry from the president's very bitter Oval Office meeting with Zelensky very early in his term last year, in which he essentially yelled at Zelensky that he has no cards.
That's something that I didn't know. And another thing, here's the talk that's going on in Europe. This is Kurt Volker. He's a former U.S. ambassador to NATO. He has been in Europe. He is currently in Poland. And this is what he had to say just a couple days ago.
I do want to move on to Ukraine, especially given your experience. I mean, look, you and I both saw that the G7 leaders say they want this Iran conflict done and dusted. They supported the MOU. How much do you believe that can clear the way for attention and resources to now concentrate on Ukraine? We saw the NATO Secretary General in the Oval yesterday trying to set the table for the NATO summit to come. I mean, you're in Poland right now, right? How crucial is it that maybe finally they can get to some kind of ceasefire, to have Vladimir Putin agree to that if they can't get to a deal?
Right. Well, I think, talking with Europeans here in Poland, there's a little bit of a sigh of relief that the U.S. has been distracted from the Russia-Ukraine war, because U.S. involvement has been one of supporting Putin and putting pressure on Ukraine, which none of them agree with. So it's been a nice respite. During that respite, Ukraine has turned the tide of the war. Ukraine now has an advantage over Russia in drones, counter drones, electronic warfare, long-range strikes with strategic impact, as opposed to what Russia does, which has civilian impact. Taking out Russian logistics, Crimea is now in a very perilous position because of the inability of Russia to provide supplies, including fuel. So this war has taken a turn in Ukraine's favor. The U.S. has been largely out of it for the past several months, partly because of the war against Iran. And I think seeing that Russia is gradually losing and Ukraine is gradually winning, President Trump and the Trump administration have gradually taken a more Ukraine supportive, or at least a soft line with respect to Ukraine, thinking that they actually might come out ahead here. And that's been very welcome.
Very interesting. If we go to Anna from Ukraine, the headlines going back 6 days ago, massive strikes on strategic factories in Voronezh, Moscow. I get a lot of these mispronounced. 5 days ago, Russians massively flee from occupied Crimea. There's a lot of video of that, people going crazy because they can't get out of Crimea because you can't get gas, you can't get food, there's power outages. And this is also, of course, shutting down the military capabilities of the Russian troops. 4 days ago on Anna from Ukraine, Russians shocked inflation and deposits grab plan. They are anticipating that the government is going to go into people's private bank accounts and take their money because the government has no more money. From 3 days ago, Belarus turns against Russia. Putin's worst nightmare begins. From 22 hours ago, Putin vanished again. Moscow, Crimea, Russia, burn. There is a lot of astonishing video going on showing that Ukraine is just, kicking an awful lot of ass. So here's another astonishing thing that is going on over there. Let's go back in time to a little more than 2 years ago, to 2023, the spring of 2023. Do you remember the name Yevgeny Prigozhin? He ran a big military sort of masonry, not masonry. I can't, you know what I'm talking about. Not masonry, mercenary. Masonry would be somebody who works with cement, I think. Okay, a mercenary group who turned against Vladimir Putin and drove a huge military force toward Moscow, about 1,500 miles, and stopped at the very last moment. And within about a month, he was dead in a plane crash where the plane was flying and then just went straight down into the ground. Wonder what happened there. Well, now we have a former commander who was in this war commanding Russian troops, but he's pretty pissed off at how the Russian troops are being treated. And you can hear what he's saying here. It sounds weird because there's a weird translation. I don't know if it is itself AI or something, but you can read what he's saying if you're watching this on video. But it's I'm going to play you the translation, and this is Alexander Lunin, a commander in the Russian army. And here is a video that he put out a couple days ago, and I think it's pretty astonishing.
June 25th, 2026. Today, a representative of the servants of the people came by. Yesterday, I met with representatives of high-ranking officials from the Ministry of Defense and Security agencies, and they delivered a message to Vladimir Vladimirovich Putin that if he does not grant me an audience on live television, where I will tell the whole truth about what is happening in our country right now, At the moment, dozens, hundreds, thousands of our soldiers are sitting in dungeons, punished by their commanders. They are sitting there, rotting, being subjected to torture and violence by the so-called Gestapo. They are there because they refuse to carry out stupid, suicidal orders. They are there because they refuse to hand over their financial assets, and in the end, they are eliminated, declared missing. Vladimir Vladimirovich, please take note of this. Invite me for a meeting. The consequences could be very serious. If, in the near future, I do not come to the Kremlin and speak live on air next to you, the army will turn its weapons against the Kremlin. I am only passing on the message. That is all.
He's passing on the message of some of the higher-ups that met with him, by the way. And he's got a lot of other troops behind him who have then made videos of them in big groups saying, "We are behind Alexander Lunin." So the Russian military is turning against Vladimir Putin. They're talking about people within the Kremlin turning against Vladimir Putin. I know all this stuff is going too slow, and we've been talking about it for a long time on this show. But this week, the big switch is well underway, and it includes building for the future, like what Kamala Harris and Barack Obama said last week, if you go back and watch or listen to the show last week. There's going to be a lot of rubble and debris after this Trump regime is gone, and it's going to be very soon. And we're going to clean it away, and we're going to need to rebuild, and we cannot rebuild with nostalgia. The Democrats right now that are getting elected in primaries are getting elected because they're saying, no, I don't want to keep paying for carnage that Netanyahu wants to do against Palestinian people. I don't want to keep paying for a war in Iran. I don't want to keep paying for Trump and all his bullshit. I want universal health care. I want everybody in America to have health care. I want better education, affordable health care, affordable education. We could have better roads. We could have better blah, 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 blah. A lot of the legislation that Biden passed, there's a lot of construction going on out here where I live right now, and it's all being paid for by the legislation that came under Biden. A highway, a freeway that has been neglected for way too long is finally getting fixed. It's not because of Donald Trump and the Republicans. So the Democrats that are winning, the Republicans are calling them Nazis because they want everyone in America to have health care and a good education and affordable food and decent wages and all of the things that basically 100% of people want. So who's going to emerge as the new leaders? We are seeing that because the big switch has begun. I, for one, am very optimistic. I'm getting really excited and happy about all this stuff, all these things that are changing in the way that they're changing. I hope you are too. I know this was kind of a lot of information. I like going through it because it makes me feel good. I know that, so I'm hoping that it'll make you feel good too. Things are turning and changing for the best. And you know it's true because people like Mike Johnson is scared. All of the Republicans are scared right now, and a lot of them are turning against Donald Trump. So that's got to be good, right? All right. Thank you so much for being here with me this week. I hope you had a good Pride weekend. I know most of the people I know consider that the funnest weekend of the year. And what else? The weather's nice. It's summertime here in the Northern Hemisphere. Remember to enjoy your life. Enjoy the people around you that you love and care about. Hang out with them. listen to music, watch movies, play your musical instrument, do the things that you want to do in your life, read a nice book, go to the lake, go to the beach, enjoy your life and know that things are turning for the better. There are things happening that we're not often being told about. And that's, of course, what we're trying to do here on this podcast. And now, more and more good things I'm able to find that are not being reported by the American media, corporate media. You got to go find people like, the Midas Touch Network and Katie Fang, who just sued Todd Blanche and won. I'm going to let you go, but again, let's stick together. We'll keep each other sane. We're going to come out the other end of this, I feel like, pretty soon now, and it's going to be marvelous, and I want to be there with you. So let's stick together, and I want to thank you so much for being here with me. I will speak at you again next week.
You've been listening to A Satellite View with Todd Mickelson. Go to toddmickelson.com for links and more information.